Baruch Hashem, today is day number 133 of our daily study of Rambam, Sefer HaMitzvos. And in the 3 chapters a day of Mishnah Torah, we are still in Hilchas Meiser, specifically in chapters 7, 8, and 9 of those halachas. Now, Hilchas Meiser, Meiser means the tithe, only has one mitzvah that corresponds to it. So I got news for you. We've studied the same mitzvah for the past 2 days. We're going to study it again today because that's how we're studying Sefer HaMitzvos. We're not going through Sefer HaMitzvos in order, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What we're doing is we're studying mitzvahs in Sefer HaMitzvos that correspond to whatever laws are being studied in the 3 chapters a day of Mishnah Torah. So that's what happens sometimes. Some days we have a lot of mitzvahs all at once, and some days we have the same mitzvah over and over and over. So we're going to do it again. Positive Commandment 127, the mitzvah to take the first tithe. Now, this is our 3rd day doing it, so I'm going to quiz you. The first tithe is what percentage of the produce? Yeah, we all know a tithe is a tenth, so 10%. Good. Okay. Just making sure you're awake. And to whom does the tithe go? That's right, to the Levi. Very good. And where is this mitzvah kept biblically? That's right, in the Holy Land, in the land of Israel. Okay. And I'm going to tell you something else about Demai, since we're learning about it again. In chapter 9 of Hilchas Meiser, which is what we're learning today in the 3 chapters a day, chapter 7, 8, and 9. So in the beginning of chapter 9, the Rambam gives us like a little history lesson. He says, in the days of Yochanan Kohen Gadol, the high priest Yochanan, the Chachamim, the sages, did a survey of the entire land of Israel, and they found out that everyone is careful about Teruma. Remember, we learned about Truma or Trumais in the previous halachas, and that's the gift that goes to the Kohen, which is about 2%. But not everyone was careful about Meiser or Meiser Sheni, and we've mentioned Meiser Sheni in passing previously. And therefore, if you would buy produce from a non-reputable person, you couldn't really assume that Meiser had been taken. You could assume he took Truma. By the way, why were the common folk, often referred to as the Amei Ha'aretz, the people of the land, why were they reliable to take Truma but not to take Meiser? I'll tell you very simple. Because Truma, to eat produce where Truma that was not removed from it, the punishment is death by the hands of heaven, not by the physical court. It's not something they can give capital punishment for, but it is a spiritual death sentence. So I guess that's scary to people, and they don't want to mess with that. But Meiser doesn't have that punishment. Meiser is a financial obligation. So I guess people are afraid to do something that would incur spiritual death penalties, but they're not afraid necessarily to do something that's, it really is stealing from the Levi, because it belongs to the Levi and not to give it to him. But I guess people feel entitled. Who is he? I worked on this. I'm the farmer. I grew it and I harvested it. So they would give the Truma, but they wouldn't give the Meiser. So when you would buy from someone and you don't know who he is, you couldn't assume that Meiser was taken, and that's called Demai. The word is Demai. Demai literally means what is it? What is it? Meaning, what's its status? Was Meiser taken or wasn't? I don't know. We'll never know. So here's the interesting thing. If you have Demai, you have to separate the Meiser yourself because of a doubt. Maybe Meiser was separated. Maybe it wasn't. You don't know if it was or it wasn't. And that's important. It's going to play into this very soon. The fact that we don't know if it was or wasn't. So you have to separate the Meiser, but then you can eat it. Why? Because there's a concept, hametz mechavere olav haraya, that someone who wants to extract something else, meaning of monetary value, from someone else has to have proof. Or like they say in English common law, possession is 9/10 of the law. So here's the deal. Meiser is a financial obligation to the Levi. Okay, let him come and prove that the Meiser was not taken already from this produce. So I have to separate the Meiser, but then I don't have to give it to the Levi. I'm not talking about something that I know Meiser wasn't taken. If I'm the farmer and I picked it and I know that Meiser wasn't taken, obviously I have to give it to the Levi. I'm talking about where I bought it from somebody else who I don't know. Maybe he took Meiser, maybe he didn't. So then you have to separate the Meiser, but then you can keep it, because unless the Levi can come and prove that this produce hasn't had its Meiser removed, then you don't have to give it to the Levi. Okay, that's how we deal with Demai. Okay, a little interesting. In fact, there's a whole tractate in the Mishnah called Demai. It's a little interesting history, and it's not just history because it's still applicable in the land of Israel. We still have to take care of Trumais and Maisrus. In fact, that's one of the things that people encounter when they go to the land of Israel, and all of a sudden they have a whole new set of kashrus laws that they never knew about in the diaspora. Interesting. Okay, we'll see you again for more Meiser-related mitzvahs. Well, you already know what the mitzvah is going to be tomorrow, because I already told you there's only one Meiser mitzvah. So, okay, we'll see you again for that mitzvah again tomorrow, God willing.